All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being on with our YouTube live right now. If you are watching and you are able to leave some comments, I don't know if we'll be able to see the comments as you guys are coming in and watching this. Let me see if I can move that. Well, that's personal Zoom. Yeah. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching with us tonight. It's very special guest that I have. One of my favorite people in the industry of travel. He is my sideline business partner, and I just love his energy all through the years. We're going to talk about his journey in the business of travel, and he's actually a flight attendant by day, and he has been all over the world just traveling, working his 9 to 5. But also on the side of that, he owns his home-based travel business. And so I want to share more of his journey, how he's been able to accomplish the things that he's accomplished working, his 9 to 5 with integrity, but also own this amazing travel business, how he's been able to grow and help so many people at the same time. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone from all different time zones. How are you doing today, Baron?
I am amazing, Hawa. I am just so very blessed and very content. I have a lot of peace. Just happy. I'm so good tonight.
So I forgot to mention his full name, but this is Mr. Baron Chisholm Lucas. He is out of the North Carolina area. So I don't know if you feel comfortable disclosing your city and state, but I live out of Columbia, South Carolina. But Baron and I actually met through a friend of his. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows who's on the line with us today, Mr. Baron Chisholm Lucas. If you can go ahead and share with us who you are, what we would like for everyone to know about you before I dive into your travel business journey.
Absolutely. Again, and I want to just say to you as well, Director Saipo, if I may, that's why I'm so used to calling you a coach. You are one of my favorite persons too. You inspire me so much and you do so much for all of us that are in this business. And it's just always it's been a beautiful thing to see us both grow, just how much you poured out from yourself and just all that you do. So I just want to say I appreciate you so very much and giving me this opportunity to be with you tonight and talk to the people, kind of share a little bit about my journey. But yes, everyone out there, again, my name is Baron Chisholm. I'm originally from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm the youngest of five. I grew up in a middle class household. Both of my parents, unfortunately, my father, he's been deceased for coming up on 7 years now. He was a great man. He still left a legacy in a sense, and teaching my siblings and I the right things as best as he could and that he knew of. So, great upbringing. I went to college, I went to graduate school, I've done like customer service jobs, and I've even traveled before I became a travel business owner. I'm a flight attendant right now. It's for a major airline, I will say that. I've been there for about 8 years and absolutely love it. I was furloughed during the pandemic, then I was recalled, I came back. So that's been amazing as well. I'm married, I have no kids, but between my spouse and I, we've got like, and I think it's like 20 nieces and nephews. So, I mean, they range from 1 to 35. So huge family between the two of us. And I don't know if I said already, but I'm a dog dad. So my little Yorkie Poo Princeton is like my son. He's just tied to my hip or my leg rather. And so, I'm a person, I love people. I've when I was in the Army, I was actually a chaplain. So I have that experience as well. If you don't know what a chaplain is, it's basically a minister, but, you provide spiritual support is what it was. And so I've just always had a heart for people. I want people to be happy, to be prosperous, all of those things. And, a lot of things that I've gone through in my life, which I think we all have, I've had a lot of trials and tribulations and some close calls where I didn't think I'd continue to live, but I'm still here, still living in my purpose, growing in it, learning to continue loving myself, liking myself, so that I'm able to share all that good energy with those whom I encounter.
Well, thank you for sharing a bit of your story and your journey. And I love getting to know you through the years. One of the things that I love most about you is how transparent you are through your journey because, we all are a work in progress, and I get the opportunity to see your growth. So today I really want to inspire other people who are flight attendants, who are working their jobs. So one of the things I want to focus first, before getting to know how you joined and how you started your travel agency as a flight attendant. So let's talk about your what you do as a flight attendant. What does that look like from your day-to-day as a flight attendant with scheduling and things like that? And then we'll talk about how you have been able to fit your travel agency in the midst of all that.
Absolutely. Great question. It's one of the things that I've loved since I was 15. That was my very first time that I was on a plane. I went to Paris and London. One of the English teachers at my high school, Myrtle Beach High School, home of the Seahawks, had, opened it up to the whole school, whoever wanted to go. You just raise your money or save your money, and you were able to go on this trip. And I remember we were on British Airways. And even just walking on the plane, I was like, oh my goodness, this plane definitely sounds like it's been used, but I still love the smell of the planes, the look of the flight attendants, and it was British Airways. Um, and I remember sitting there and I was like, man, I would really love to do this one day. And it wasn't until I finished grad school that I saw, I was in a place. I mean, I probably give it away. I don't work for them, so it's okay to say that. But anyway, I was living in Atlanta at the time. Once I finished grad school, I was like, well, I'm in the Army Reserve, so I still need a full-time job. Well, I had applied to one airline three every year. There was 3 times in a row. So I applied like 2009, 2010, 2011. I could never get past the application, even to get an interview or to do an assessment. And so anyway, I got with my particular airline now. And so it has really, really been an amazing journey. So for anyone who doesn't know, being a flight attendant, it is a very rewarding career. You meet a lot of people, whether they're celebrities or not, multi-generational, all different ethnic and racial back. I mean, just you meet people all over the place. One of the interesting things too is, as a flight attendant, even in my day to day, sometimes you're taking people for a celebratory moment, sometimes you're taking them for a not so celebratory moment. It's just, it can be very touching. There's, a lot of emotion sometimes that can come with it. But being able to meet people from all walks of life, I felt like it has afforded me the opportunity where I'm able to learn a lot about myself. And so day to day, of course, we're not glorified waiters. We're not waiters in the air. Let's dispel that myth. Flight attendants, ladies and gentlemen, are safety professionals. So for the airline that I work for, 6.5 weeks of training. 5 of those weeks, it's all about emergencies, and you learn about the different aircrafts, how to work an AED if someone needs to, has a heart attack or something, or they pass out, how to administer oxygen, first aid stuff, someone cuts themselves, or for whatever it might be. So we are safety professionals, and that's what we do. Now, the day to day, yes, we're serving Cokes, we're greeting people, customer service, making sure that people are safe. I always like to say, when your flight attendants ask you to buckle your seatbelt, put your tray table up, put your computer away. Ladies and gentlemen, all this is safety related. I have some stories I can tell you on how people have gotten hurt because they don't listen to the follow basic rules. So, day to day, just making sure that people are safe from one point to the next. In being a flight attendant in our industry, everything is based on seniority. The longer you've been a flight attendant with a company, the better schedules that you get. So I'll just let you know about a recent trip that I did. I think that'll kind of tie in. So I get to the airport, at least part of our contract, and a lot of airlines, they don't. Whether they're unionized or not, they're just some airlines, they don't pay you until, because we get paid for flight hours. So that means when the door of the aircraft closes after everybody's on the plane is when I start getting paid. That's the whole time or financial freedom that I often think about to myself. And so, I have to be there an hour before departure. So, I get to the flight, we have to check our emergency equipment. The captain gives us a briefing about weather and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not telling you anything proprietary. You can, if you YouTube it, some flight attendants will talk about this. But for me, that's essentially what it is. Receive passengers. I do pre-departure beverages because I work first class a lot. So usually those passengers are on the plane first. So we offer them a drink while everyone else is boarding. We get all of our numbers, make sure all of the bins are closed, bags are properly stowed. We taxi out, we take off. When we get in the air, then that's when we start our service. And if there's a meal in first class, I offer a meal. You get unlimited soft drinks and alcoholic beverages up in first class for those who've never flown on a plane before. And then in coach or main cabin, as we like to say, they do a service as well. Usually a light snack, depending on the flight, you can do, buy food on the plane, just on and on. And so a recent trip that I did, I flew from Charlotte, North Carolina to Seattle, Washington. Um, got there an hour before. There was a mechanical, so there was a delay. So, I'm just sitting at the airport waiting until we can board the plane. Then we get there, and then I have to sit on the tarmac or the runway for an hour because we had to wait on a gate. So I'm trying to, paint a picture here on like what this isn't, it's not every flight, I'll say that, but these are just some of the things that can happen. When things go perfectly, it's the same thing, but without what I'm saying now. So, you have to wait on the hour to the gate. We get to the gate, people get off. Then we go to our hotel. A lot of times it's either a hotel shuttle or we may have contracted transportation that specifically is for my crew. Pick us up, take us to our hotel. We can do whatever you want on your layover as long as you show up for pickup. And, the next day or however long your layover is, they pick us up and we do it all over again. So, it's all about safety. A lot of fun though. I get to travel domestically and internationally, so that's a cool thing. And yeah, I think that should be enough.
Oh yeah, that I learned so much. I really, have always looked at flight attendants and, it looks, real glorious too, but at the same time I can see the work that you guys have to do, where you having to service people all day. And, it's great if you have great clients, but then sometimes you have to handle not so great clients. So let's talk about you being a flight attendant and let's reverse back to how many years ago you started your travel business. So how were you introduced to owning your home-based travel agency?
Absolutely. So I was initially introduced to the particular company that we're with now. Because I always thought being a travel agent, like you had to go to travel agent school and all that. Because I've always thought it was kind of cool to do because, I've always planned stuff for myself and my family's a free travel agent, basically what I've discovered. But it was about 6 years ago where there was a gentleman, we shared the same first name. So his name was Baron. I'm Baron. That's how we related to one another. But except I have two R's. So I guess that means I'm extra special. No, I'm just joking. So I have two R's. More is mostly spelled like the last name Baron. But so we connected on that level. And at the time, for me, I was like, I'm a flight attendant. Like, I'm kind of already in it, and any benefits that I can get from being a travel agent, I feel like I'm good as a flight attendant. Well, lo and behold, 3 years later from him initially talking to me, a good friend of mine, someone who I knew, I love her, I trusted her, I knew she wasn't, just a part of any and everything. And so I just took time to listen. So 3 years ago, so it was September of 2021, where is that right? Yeah, one, two, three, four. Yeah, because it'll be 3 years in September. I wasn't the best at math, y'all, but I know how to count my bank account. Um, I she she basically just she sent me a Facebook message. We exchanged a number because we had lost touch for a while too, and so Cool is her name. Growing up in Myrtle Beach together, I was close friends with her cousin, but she still hung out with us a lot because she liked to play basketball, and so a lot of times she and I would just be hanging out. And so when she told me about it, I was like, okay, yeah, I heard about this before, but I still don't know. So, just as the weeks went by, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna look at it. Anyway, long story long, I eventually started my business, my travel business, and if I can be honest and transparent, as you mentioned before, Director Saipo, when I came in, I was like, you know what? I hate telling people no. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this thing. I'm gonna give it 2 weeks. I'm gonna say it in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna give her an excuse why I can't do it anymore. I was already in my mind, I'm like, I'm not doing this. But when I got in, oh my gosh, it's kind of one thing to where like let's say if there's a hotel or I don't know, just a vacation spot that I see online somewhere, whether it's social media or not, but and it looks nice. But once I physically go somewhere and I'm actually like inside the hotel or inside the actual city, I'm like, oh, this doesn't do justice, you know. So because Quilla had shared a video with me, you know, we talked over the phone and she answered a lot of questions that I had, along with, you know, with the person who introduced the business opportunity to her. So I was able to talk to Director My Slate as well. And it was really, for me, it was the energy. I already knew Quilla, but it was the energy of Direct Disciple. And I just connected with her right off the bat. So it was a lot of things that sort of played into my decision. But then, as I mentioned before, like once I got in, I was like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. Like, this is, it's like I thought I was getting a few countries, but I got the whole globe, like the whole planet as we know it, you know, more galaxies.
So what did you find out about the opportunity that really was the defining moment that you're like, wow, I need to take this seriously on a financial level? Because, you know, a lot of times people say, oh, travel, we can work it as a hobby, part-time, full-time. And you sounded like you were going to be a quick hobby and come out in 2 weeks. So what was it that made you decide, you know, I'm going to take this business to another level and be serious about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me, what really hit home was even in those first 2 weeks. Um, so for me, I have found that it's all about access. And even as a flight attendant, you know, the things that I have access to is still very limited. And so for me, it was the unlimited portion, and then just looking at everything that I had the access to, it intrigued me even more. And because I'm a nosy person, well, let's just say that, and I'm very curious. As I started to, you know, dig more and like looking into, you know, like all the different suppliers and just whatever it was, that I was seeing on my screen just intrigued me more. So it was like you know, there was more in depth. But even more so, I think maybe to answer your question a little more to the point, was a lot of what I had access to as a flight attendant wasn't yielding me anything, wasn't yielding me, you know, extra income. And I often had to work 120 hours a month just to sort of, you know, make ends meet, especially when I first started. But for me, it was like, I don't know, it just made sense. Like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this anyway, if I'm going to book me a hotel on, you know, any kind of website so without saying names, if you go to a website and you book a hotel, but I'm like, wait a minute, I can make a commission off this. Or if I take a cruise, because I'm going on a cruise at the end of this month, I'm so excited. Um, Anything that I do, for me, I feel like, well, no, this definitely does make sense. And even at the time, so 2021, so yeah, like, you know, my mom had been a widow for 4 years, and, you know, living at home by herself, and just knowing that, nope, even me, none of us were getting any younger. So I think that was one of the defining moments too, like even having spoken to her about it. And she was in the business at one point. She was like, yeah, I'm retired. Why not? You know, and things just happen. So she could still always come. But I would say that that was definitely just having the access, seeing that I now had a way that I didn't have to be a free agent, but something that could supplement my income. And then I wouldn't have to, you know, be on a plane as much. Sometimes people don't realize that as rewarding as being a flight attendant is, it can be a lot on your body. And, you know, I mean, think about it. You're up 35,000 feet, then you're down, then you're up, then you're down. You might do that 3 or 4 times a day. And so, you know, eventually you have to take a break. And so I saw that this, from a financial perspective, could help me sort of offset the days that I wasn't on a plane.
So when you purchase your travel agency and you learn that there are built-in commissions, because like you said, with flight attendants, you do have some sort of access, but it's limited. But none of that would ever yield you income. So I really want to point that out to, you know, people who are watching this. And if you are in the industry and you are a flight attendant, or you're thinking of becoming a flight attendant and trying to find ways to earn multiple streams of income while being a flight attendant, because that's really the purpose, right? We need multiple streams. As a flight attendant, even in what you do, there are restrictions to time and when you can make additional streams of income. You can't always do it in the air when you are working as a flight attendant, right? You can't be distracted and do multiple things to make more income. So even with the limited access in all that you do, you are desiring to make additional streams of income, right? That's why you started too.
Right.
And while we look at different opportunities. So when you came in and you realized that they were built-in commission, you can actually make money from booking travel for other people. When did you start to put that into action? Because I know that you just booked a huge trip for some clients of yours, right? So tell us that process of you being able to put together a trip and working your travel business, booking travel for other people, still while being a flight attendant.
Absolutely. And one of the beautiful things that I like about this business is that it is home based, but I don't have to be home. So I'm in another city, another country on my layover, after I've maybe gone out and had, a city I've never been in or a country I've never been in, you know, might want to go out and I don't know, try some coffee at a Parisian restaurant or, in Argentina where I've been, when I used to drink, I may want to go have a glass and I could take my computer with me and do that. And so yeah, it just kind of hit home that even from booking, it was a single item. A cousin of mine was the very first booking that I had, and she booked a car rental. It was $600, and I believe my commission check was like $68. Well, some people might say, "Oh, that's not a lot of money." Listen, it takes $60 to fill up my gas tank because I have to put premium in there. So I was grateful for my cousin, just doing that. Now I did it for her, and then after that, she registered on my site and went as well. But it wasn't until and since you mentioned it, I'll just say like it was a cruise of 43 people. My commission check was $1,089.14. And to have like that first comma in a check, I'm like, over the course of 4 months, total time was 4 hours. So, just think about that. Like the time that I had to collect information, answer questions, call the supplier. There have even been times to where I have these clients, I'll just say this too, and I hope I'm answering this question. You let me know if I'm not, but I have some clients that are there's three girls. They're going to Naples, they're going to Mykonos, and they're going to Paris. So I collected that information. There was a particular supplier who specializes in like European, what they call our fit trips, was foreign individual trips. All I did was give the information and, my commission check has another comma in it. So it's just like to me that, and I've heard people say this business, it makes sense and it makes money. Like literal, it makes sense, but then it also makes, coin sense and it makes money. So it it was just very empowering to be like, wait a minute, first of all, this is fun to do. Second of all, nothing is really hard in life unless we make it. Oh, I mean, some things are, but and it's
Right. No
and
sweat.
it, right. One of the things to where like I'm in business for myself, but I'm not by myself. So I just, I'm never, it's not me doing everything alone. There are a lot of resources that I was able to tap into, and I'm like, and I am making money. Okay, yeah, this is real first and foremost, and it's really not that difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems difficult at first,
Hmm.
but once you get the hang of the system, doing what you do, having your favorite, suppliers and working with them. What has the customer service been like for you? Because you are in the service industry. I mean, flight attendants, you guys are well trained. Rarely do you see flight attendants in bad moods. And I don't believe that you can be in a bad mood for a long time because if you get reported, right, that would be an issue. And
Yes.
so, for my experience, most of the time, you guys already have that part of your personality that likes to serve, and you deal with customers day in, day out. So that is a skill set that you have in customer service. How has that been for you coming into this business without experience, even though you book travel, you've done travel, or you've been in the industry of travel, but you've not made money like you have being a travel agency owner, right? You have the freedom, the time, unlimited income, booking travel for anyone, anywhere in the world. What has that been like for you? Because I know you would pay attention and take heed to customer service. And how empowering is that we pay a very low investment for our monthly, but to have unlimited customer service at our fingertips. Describe to me how that's been for you.
Ooh, the first word that comes to mind is indescribable. It truly, truly is. If any human can think of perfection, that's the summation or the word that I feel like I could sum it up. I feel like that's the summation of my experience is perfect, even though I know it's not. I mean, things happen. We just, the reality is we just don't live in a perfect world. But if I can imagine in terms of my experience, then it's top notch. So for me, already having a heart for people, I love to laugh. I feel like laughter is good medicine. It helps my mental, my spiritual, emotional, even physical. And that's been one of the beautiful things is OMG. These people are treating me just as if I were, even though I'm a partner, it's like the customer service is impeccable. It is immaculate. It is mind blowing. It has just been, just extremely beautiful. And so what I was about to say is they're helping me make money. And I'm not even sure if they're like getting commission, but that customer service is top notch, and that's when we say unlimited, I mean unlimited. There have been times to where I've had emergencies with flights, or because there's weather, and me being a flight attendant, I already know that can happen, mechanical delays, and people are trying to fly and make cruises, or they've got something planned, I don't know, in Aruba, that night, and now they're going to miss whatever they've pre-planned already. And so there have been times where I've had to call at midnight or 6 a.m. in the morning, emergency line services for travel agents. Again, when it's unlimited, we don't say unlimited just because it sounds nice. Like it truly has been unlimited, and it's great customer service. And I have never, even for a second, felt alone, felt, pushed to the side, or felt as if someone was unwilling to help me. It's truly the experience that I have. I wish I could bottle it up, put it either in a jar or put it on a screen or in a video somewhere. And like a lot of, Fortune 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 companies should play that if they're in a service industry. That
I love
is just
that.
how amazing it's been. Absolutely.
In my experience, same here. I love it. I never feel like it's alone. So that's why I love the industry, because we come in without an experience, but you always have people that you can call that would take the time. When I first started, 30 minutes, an hour, just to answer my questions thoroughly so I can become a better travel professional, so I can service my clients, right? So these representatives are paid to serve travel advisors like us. So this is amazing, you know? So let's talk about you having that experience and customer service. You notice that it's great over here. So let's talk about people who are flight attendants. What would you say are the transferable skill sets that attendants already possess in the trainings that you've had, in the type of personality that it takes to be a flight attendant, being in the air? I would have to say that you need patience to be a flight attendant because of all the time and you got to be flexible and all those things. So what are the key transferable skills of a flight attendant that you feel like lends itself and is great to be a travel business owner like yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, it's definitely being able to work with people. So the customer service skills that you must possess, at least I know part of my job description, or well, when I applied, some of the skills that were needed were definitely customer service. You mentioned it before, flexibility, or what I like to say is adaptability, because things literally change every second, especially in the travel industry together, but specifically within the airline industry. Um, there's also critical thinking skills sometimes that you have to, that are transferable, I would say, into this business. We have what is called, and this is not proprietary, we call it crew resource management, but it's basically where if it's something good or bad, I mean, you literally you work as a team. So it's the same thing here. Being a team player, knowing how to work well with others, I think all of those are transferable. Being timely with, when I think about people having to make payments and their deadlines that, if you do a cruise, it has to be paid 120 days prior to sail date, just stuff like that. Knowing how to be timely, the majority, I would say, of flight attendants are very organized as well. So that's also a good transferable skill, having some type of organizational skills. Um, we too, as flight attendants, because we are basically, in my mind, it's like government contractors, but we're governed by the Federal Aviation Administration. And so there are rules and regulations that even as flight attendants, being safety professionals, we have to get on our computers and you have to do quarterly trainings, right? Even when you have initial training as a flight attendant, you have experience on being sitting in a classroom and you have, instructor led courses, but then you also may have to go home to your hotel room that night while you're during training and you got to do online training modules. So, having that experience too with being technologically savvy in a sense or to a degree. So, I think that's also transferable. Um, and then just, being very, very diligent. So, I think experience comes with it too, because we stay in hotels a lot. We know about hotel safety and security. And because we're working on a plane, how important safety and security as well. So I think that can also be transferable, even to share with our clients or when we're looking for certain places to go to, or even the travel advisories that come out to us as flight attendants. I feel like that's also transferable, being used to having a lot of, or yeah, having access or being exposed to a lot of information within a given day.
And you travel a lot already.
Exactly.
And you
Yeah.
must have a love for travel to be a flight attendant.
Yes, you do.
Hello,
Right.
passion and love for travel. You guys are always whoop, 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 whoop,
Yep.
moving all over the place. So I think, thank you for sharing that. So I need to know why you think it's more important than ever for flight attendants, people in your industry, to incorporate additional streams of income, but most importantly, to get into the travel industry, but being on the business ownership side of the entrepreneurship side versus working for another company, for another airline, working to build someone else's company.
Great question. So, first and foremost, the first thing that I thought about was this is linear income. There is oftentimes a high turnover rate being a flight attendant, whether people knew that or not, because you have to be very timely, as I mentioned before. Um, you have to have some sense of organization. So there are just, a lot of things that can play into people being let go or laid off. We just went through a pandemic. I was laid off for 6 months. Even if there's not a pandemic, there's still nothing that is guaranteed. And so often, I have even found flight attendants who are let go. Now, granted, we have a union that might be able to get their job back, but they're let go. And then I've heard from flight attendants directly how stressed they are with finding another job because either people weren't hiring or they had been a flight attendant for a number of years. Sometimes even if they try to go to another airline, that still takes a whole process. Like I it took me 8 months. I applied, I did a online interview, and then 7 months went by before I even got to a face to face. Then I had to wait another 2 months. So I mean almost a year just to get hired as a flight attendant. Um, and so, yeah, I think it is so very important. I never learned anything about entrepreneurial rights. which now I am able to do so. And so I think that it is very important because as awesome as it is of being a flight attendant, I was told this when I first started in 2016 by a lady who had already been flying 20 years at that time. And she said, "Sweetie, do not put all your eggs in one basket." And I'm talking about this industry. She said, "I lived through 9/11 as a flight attendant, as a lot of people did, whether you're a flight attendant or not. We survived. It was such a tragic, time. But she said, even when there isn't a pandemic, when there isn't something tragic like 9/11, the airline industry is still very unpredictable. But I think even in any industry, well, let me keep it since we're talking about flight attendants, that we just know for those who might be out there who are flight attendants, or you're in training now to become one, or if you have friends or family who are flight attendants and they might have shared with you, I think that's just the biggest thing. Like, it is still very unpredictable. Unfortunately, you never know when something can happen. I won't talk about it, but sometimes you'll have injury on duties, like if you're exposed to fumes and you're out of work for a week or whatever, or, I've known people, they're getting off of the employee bus or they're walking off of a plane and their foot trips and they mess their knee up. And like if you're not fit to fly, as we say, then the company is going to say, well, you have to take some time off. They give you medical, and they might pay you. You may get a little bit if depending on the benefits that you have. But for most people, they don't have a plan B that they're able to work if you're out on a medical leave. I mean, I know some people have been out for a year and they've depleted their 401k because they don't have a plan B.
Wow.
So, for me, I think, especially as flight attendants, when we know, again, we're safety professionals, things can happen. We're exposed to a lot of, yeah, airplane fumes. We're exposed to a lot of people. And, sometimes, I mean, I found where I've gotten sick from a sinus infection and I have to be out for 2 weeks. Well, when I start feeling better a couple of days, but because it's a sinus infection and the doctor's written me out because I'm a flight attendant and I'm around people, customer facing industry. Well, now I have a business that I can be working while I'm off. And so just because of the unpredictability, it's linear income. And, I mean, we're making millions and trillions and billions for these airlines. And, I think as flight attendants, it's a great and powerful, empowering thing for us already in the travel space that we're able to empower ourselves by not just being a consumer all the time, but actually being a merchant. And the insiders in the travel space, we are like, it's like I have the best of both worlds, is what I would say to any flight attendant. And that's why you need a business like we have.
I love that you said that because I have met flight attendants that said, well, I benefit from the access of being a flight attendant, right? But from your experience and from my experience and from us being in the travel space as entrepreneurs, being, partnered up with a host agency, and our host agency have been in business for over 30 years, have all the partnerships, and we don't have to go out there and start the business from the ground up, and just being able to be able to work a turnkey business without any experience, be able to come in, earn travel commissions on something that we used to do, but now we're merchants, right? So you understanding that, what would be the biggest difference if a flight attendant is thinking, oh, I got it good, because you know what you know, but you also don't know what you don't know. Now that we know and we're on the other side of being entrepreneurs in the travel space, instead of working for the travel industry, we are in the travel industry owning our business and being able to earn unlimited income. What would you say to that person who thinks they got it good as flight attendants?
It sounds better than it seems. That's all that'd be the first thing I'd say. Be like, oh, do you? Okay, well, me having been a flight attendant for 5 years before, I mean, truth of the matter is you just don't like it is still, very limited. And for me, that's the whole thing that like if I'm looking to make a certain amount of money, I have to be on a plane for X amount of hours. When having my travel business, I don't have to be, I can offset the time, the energy, the not getting paid for the first hour and a half that I'm at an airport, including boarding time. Um, I don't know, like I would say as a flight attendant, it's nice. Yes. We have access. Everybody knows, yes, that flight attendants will get free flights. Now, what people don't know is those free flights, the trade-off is I have to sacrifice my time. So
Hmm.
let me just tell people if you don't know. So we as flight
Explain.
attendants,
I want to know. I want to
yeah.
know.
Okay. Well, here
Okay.
we go.
Oh, here we go.
So me as a flight attendant, I'll give you a prime example. This was a couple years ago. I flew to St. Kitts and Nevis, that's out in the Caribbean, it's one of the islands, um, to see a friend of mine's little girl get christened. Flew there, it was great. We had a wonderful time. We all flew on our flight benefits. So yeah, and I say it's free, but sometimes when you go to other countries, you have to pay airport taxes, or if there's city or state tax or country, whatever it may be. Without getting into dollar amounts, that might be proprietary information. I don't know. Sometimes it's a nominal fee, but if you're traveling anywhere in the US, yeah, you don't pay anything. So anyway, I was going to St. Kitts and Nevis, got there, it was great. Coming back, if you never heard of it, sometimes a plane, it's weight restricted. Weight restriction means you can't have X amount of people on the plane compared to what's in the belly of the plane, which we call as cargo. So if a flight is weight restricted, they just take, I guess, an average number that's out there somewhere on what an average human, which I still feel like there might be some sticky plot spots there. But anyway, they have this number based off of an average human. And if it's weight restricted, you can't get on the plane. So when I say that I have to trade my time, if a plane is weight restricted or a plane is just completely booked and there are no seats that I can occupy, um, even if it is a jump seat, or sometimes there are planes that don't have a jump seat that I can still sit on even if I'm not working. Jump seats are what flight attendants sit on, throughout the plane. That those are our seats. We don't occupy the passenger seats, but I have to trade my time. And so when I flew to St. Kitts and Nevis coming back, the flight was weight restricted. Even if it wasn't weight restricted, sometimes they're full. So you know what I had to do? Because my friend lived, so St. Kitts and Nevis, they're like two separate islands. And if you usually fly into St. Kitts and you have to take a boat if you want to go over to Nevis. So I wasn't able to get on that flight because it was weight restricted. So I was sitting in the airport for 3 hours only to be told, oh, I'm sorry, it was work, you can't get on. So I had to get back on the boat, go back to her house, and try again the next day. Well, the next day, I was able to thankfully get on. But there have been times where I've been in the airport for 8 hours because I keep getting bumped and bumped and bumped. Yeah. And flight attendants that are out there, they can attest that as well. But now that I'm a travel business owner, if that happens, oh no, I got some access that where I can, either just buy me a ticket or figure something out, in some other kind of way. So, and then be able to do something where I'm making money off of it, even my own travel. So I think that's just one of the great things as well. Um, so yeah, I hope I answered
Ooh,
that.
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I can't imagine. I don't know how you guys do it. I think it's great that you have that type of access, but oftentimes when I'm flying somewhere, I have time restriction. I'm only there for a certain amount of time to do a certain amount of things, not knowing when I would arrive. I can't plan anything really in advance. Like if I only have like a day and a half, I need to know that I can meet up someone and have dinner and, do an event the next day. And so that's no wonder that would
Right.
that would stress me out a little bit.
Yeah, very stressful. See, unpredictability.
Yeah, unpredictability. So let me ask you, with your experience so far and you've been able to earn, put a comment in your paycheck, that's really amazing because you don't have to really put any sweat. You don't, literally don't have to put on a uniform and you don't have to act and behave a certain way because, there's expectations when you are working in front of the public and you have policies, regulations that you always have to uphold as flight attendants. I see you guys are being, very well dressed, very professional. And the other side of us being travel business owners, and we get to do this in the comfort of, whatever time how's that been for you? Just let's talk about the fun things about owning a travel business. So, we talked about business earlier, but let's talk about the reason why this is one of the sexiest industries to be in and why travel business owners, the people that are in our industry are so excited and happy, not stuffy, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So even when you were saying some of the things that you were saying just a moment ago, I remember once I became a travel business owner, travel agency owner, I remember just doing some research and I came across health benefits of traveling and, you know, improve mental health. It's known to lower all kinds of ailments, if you will, or I should say it assists a lot with having good blood pressure and cholesterol, and it makes you feel good physically. It it helps with everything. I was up here trying to remember some of the things, but I think many people could agree, and it's out there. Just Google it. That there are a lot of just physical and mental health benefits, and for me, spiritual benefits as well. Um, but yeah, it's like it's just fun, learning about different things and hearing how, people have made money, but what was even better than making the money is hearing how their clients had an amazing time, or that they went on this honeymoon and this happened, or they met another couple, or people have gone on friends trips and then they come back with a boo. Just I feel like a lot of those things, it's being able to create the memories, and the lasting memories, and just all of the things that we have to do. Like I've gone to travel agent conventions, and when I tell you it's fun, I'm talking about from the music to the food to the pool parties that we have. Like even when I go on vacation, like I don't get to do that stuff, like nobody, you don't have all these people and when I tell you the red carpet is pulled out, I went to the travel agent convention last year and I felt like it was the Oscars, the Emmys, the Tonys, and what is my miss, and the Grammys all put together. So that's why we have fun over here. And the reason why, like I said, money is just, the icing on the cake, but it's really being able to learn about people. We learn about ourselves and, we laugh. Even when we cry sometimes, we end up, laughing after we've cried. So yeah, the fun aspect is like top notch. When I'm telling you, it is, that's why I smile when I say it. It's just if joy was a person, look at a travel agent. If joy can be a person, if peace could be a person, if smiles were people, they would be travel agents. But yeah, it is out of sight fun. And for me, again, as I mentioned before, I've just gone through a lot of like trauma in my life, without really getting into it, but an immense amount of trauma. And when I tell you the past 3 years of my life and being a part of this business, being attached to the people that I'm attached to, like you, Direct Disciple, like y'all have literally helped me save my life, and I believe in a higher power. But um that's just, and all of it comes from having fun. Like it is just, oh, that's why I'm never going anywhere. Because like if you want to have fun, I'm telling you, you should be a travel business owner. People say, "Oh, I don't have any friends." You need to become a travel business owner. Or I don't get to travel a lot. Become a travel business owner. Anything else you can come up?
People that don't
Yeah.
have time. How about the people that don't have time? Tell me what you think about that because you're a flight attendant. You guys are always, it seems to me, you guys are working a lot, like in the
Mhm.
air, but also the time it takes you to get there and the time it takes you to get home. And then you're never really in your own home. You were in London. I don't know, where were you? You were in Caribbean island somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I'm going
I
to
didn't know.
Vancouver in the tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
be in Canada tomorrow.
So how about the people that don't have time? What would you say about that? Flight attendants that don't have time to own a travel business.
Right. So flight attendants, we know what, or really for anybody, but flight attendants, one of the normal things is, especially if you have a long layover, you get on your layover and you debrief. You go and hang out with, your crew members, or maybe by yourself, or if you have friends in the city, we make time for that. Or if it's on a weekend, you make time to go to a bar, a club, or a restaurant. Yeah, I know we all have to eat, everybody have to get a drink or whatever. But I always say we make time for what we really want to make time for. And for me, I want to make time for myself to do something that's going to benefit me and my family in the long run. So I fit it into the cracks and crevices. So I'm the type of person to say, if you don't have time, at least for a week straight, when you're not physically working, think about or maybe write down or keep a log of what you're doing in your downtime. You know, we have time to scroll social media. We have time to talk on the phone. We have time to go shopping. We have time to sit at a restaurant for 4 hours with our friends because we're laughing and kikiing and eating and drinking and all those things. And so I would say no. If you people that say that they don't have time, especially as a flight attendant, I would say you do. Just think about how your time is spent, especially like on your layovers, or sometimes even in between flights. If you got a sit time, oh yes, you do have time. Because I've been sitting in the airport for 3 hours from working one flight till it's time to work my next flight.
You can accomplish so much in 3 hours.
Oh my gosh, yes, and I have.
Like I've seen travel advisor book a trip. My sister at the salon, she was there today in between clients. She was booking, another trip for someone, 4 or 5 people, to the Caribbean island. I mean, and it barely took her any time. She made a phone call. I mean, that was in between. And that's how it is for me as a nail technician. So when I have a no-show, I used to get really mad, Barry. And honestly, I'm like, really? Like I make no money, nobody. So I sit there and twiddle my thumbs for just look at the wall or just get bored or just do all kind of stuff. But now I open my laptop and I train. I open my laptop and I work my business and connect with, other business owners and learn and all the things. But when you were talking earlier and you talked about the benefits of travel, I just pulled it up real quick and it was saying having new experiences is beneficial for improving brain function, boosting your mental health. And speaking,
Yeah,
because if you don't have it healthy here, you won't have it healthy anywhere else. Stressed people are more sick than anybody else I know. It manifests through your physical form from your mental state, right? So that it matters. Travel has been linked to stress reduction and can alleviate symptoms of anxiety and depression. So let's
yes.
when you sad, let's travel, right, Baron?
That's it. I'm telling you, it'll turn it off.
And you make money.
Yes. That makes me smile just hearing it.
Make
And
money
I
while
make money.
traveling. I
Thank
love it.
you. Yeah,
Yes, I love it. So yeah, it's really powerful information today. What has been the hardest thing? Because you always talk about the good things, so we want to be transparent with everyone that's watching, that's taking the time to really watch the whole entire thing. So you made it to the end. I want to say thank you for following us and something must have spoken to you and interest you and you made it this far. So let's talk about, the challenges that you have had and how you've been able to overcome it and then we'll close out with some great advice and how we can help more people to look at this industry as something that can be very beneficial for them.
absolutely. Yeah, and I love that too. With the bad comes good, with the good comes bad, with indifferent comes both of them. And so, for me, it's definitely been a mental challenge a lot of times, just the things that I say to myself. I used to have a lot of negative self-talk, feeling that I wasn't worthy or I was undeserving, that I couldn't do it. So it's really, just having that can-do attitude, being around positive people as much as you possibly can has drastically changed my life. There's a saying that nothing changes if nothing changes. And oftentimes, it's had to start with me. And so the way that, some of those mental struggles that I've had is again being connected to people like you, Director Saipo, and all of our other business partners, being around other travel agents that I've met, reading. Reading is not just fundamental, it is powerful and it does a lot for our brain and our subconscious mind in what we really carry. Even if we're not conscious of it, it's really the subconscious mind that affects our behaviors and our habits, how we move, throughout life day to day. And then I think some of the other, you know, hard things or bad things, if you will, struggles that I've had is having done a lot of research for clients, and then I don't hear anything from them, or I find out they booked with somebody else, or family and friends who know that I have a travel business because they've been like, "Hey, Barrett, I want you to book this trip for me," and I have seen them go on a trip. There was a cousin of mine. She went on a trip 3 months in a row. It was a different trip every month, and she didn't book it through me. So it's been, and so that kind of goes to the mental too. So I'm like, really, like, how you're not even gonna support your own flesh and blood? I'm your cousin. Who are you booking this through? Oh, I book it on my own. Oh my gosh, somebody else is well, let me talk to you about something else then if you're booking it on your own. Let me show you how you could do what I do since you want to book it on your own. But so I would say those have been some of the things. And even along that too, there's rejection. So like if I'm sharing with people on, what I do because either they've inquired or we've had conversation and it's come up, it's kind of been that thing. But I've had to realize, and the way that I combat that, again, being surrounded by positive people, reading the things that I say to myself. The four agreements is great. I'll just put that out. That is a book. And one is, to never take anything personal. And so that has been helpful for me to reframe my mind that oftentimes if I'm sharing this opportunity with someone and they're like, no, a lot of times that's not now, right? And it's not them rejecting me, but it's just, it's the opportunity. Or sometimes people don't believe in themselves the way that I am, or, how I have grown and where I am in my life now. Everybody's not there, but you always have to start somewhere.
But you know what's interesting to me, Baron, is like, when it's our business, we take it so personal, but we've been rejected with our jobs. You said you applied what, how many times before you got it, right?
Right.
Dating. You date so many, not to say it's a Rolodex, but you have to find out what is it that fits you the most, and how would you find out if you don't try it to
Right.
figure out what kind of, your favorite foods. So it's just a normal part of life is that we're gonna meet people, and that's how business works. When people come to my nail salon, if they come in, they see the price, they walk out. Sometimes they say something, and sometimes they'll say not a darn thing. And so in our business, it's the same thing. I have that expectations because I've been a nail tech for so many years. I know not everybody, no matter how great I think I am, not everybody's gonna like me or like my work. And you
Mhm.
have to understand that's normal. And so in this business, same way, people gonna come to you, they're gonna ask for this and that's for that. And then you learn to value the quality clients. You learn to then weed them out, to audition and interview your clients, qualify them, just like we qualify our friends, just like we qualify our everything else in life, right?
Mhm.
Even where we stay. You used to stay at this hotel or with this brand, but it did this and that. And then you go to here and you spend more money, and then you're like, wow, this is how it is. So I think that perspective just helps. And when you understand it's never personal, and you'll never have everyone that want or will work with you. That's just, and it's okay. Sometimes
Mhm.
sometimes it's good.
Right. Right.
You probably don't want to work for those clients, honestly, because if they're like that already, just imagine if they did use you, as a travel professional, and how they would treat you. If they didn't respect you in the front end, just think about the relationship that you have with your clientele. It should be from beginning to end a respectful, mutually beneficial transaction,
Yes.
like a partnership with you and your spouse. My partner and I, we live in the same household, so yeah, I think across the board, anybody that's watching this, you gotta know that's expect that.
Yeah.
Right. And then you meet people like Barrett and myself, and you have conversations with us so we can really tell you the truth and help you, in this business journey. So I just like to add that, and I've seen you be able to handle all these different types of rejection now, and they're not really rejection, they're objections, or people are, not everyone is our client, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and wrap it all up in one, sum it up. What what would you say to someone that is curious and want to start their travel business? First of all, before I get into the question, I'm going to explain everybody that's on the live to make sure that we always compliant in what we do. When we started our travel business, when Barry started his travel business, he first became a Planet marketing rep, right? And he bought that side of the business. So we own two companies within our travel business where we are able to share the opportunity so someone can own the travel agency like ourselves. Baron, in the same day, purchased his Planet marketing rep side. He also purchased his home-based travel agency with our host agency, right? So he's able to earn commissions booking travel with major suppliers, no quota, no inventory. So we've been discussing about how you've been able to work, that side of your business where you book travel, earn commissions. But because of what we do, and because you being you, Baron, I'm sure that you've had people ask you about the opportunity, right? And because you have the Planet Marketing rep side that you're able to share and sell them the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that side where people are intrigued. They see you on social media. They see that you are actually doing this on a part-time basis and earning additional streams of income. They see the growth in you and they're asking you. And now your team, you have over 20 outlets. I like to say outlets because, we're not just out there trying to bring everybody into the business because not everybody's meant to be in the business. We just said that earlier.
Mhm.
So now you have all these outlets out there. What would you say to people who are wanting to do this business, but they also want to be like you and have outlets and be able to do the things? What would be your three advice for people who want to make it work?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing that automatically comes to mind is you got to be coachable, reachable, and teachable. That means you got to be willing to, that there's a saying, if, you follow the people who are where you want to be. And so I think in that, that's where you talk about being coachable, reachable. Are they able to actually, get in contact with you and to help you and to be teachable? Kind of the same thing, to teach you stuff that you don't already know, because yeah, we don't know what we don't know. And then even when we do know, we want to make sure that we do better and take, immediate action on it. And so, um, I would just definitely say you gotta, and I don't know if this really answers the question, but these are the thoughts that I had. So, I would say that it's important to take the risk. And if, at least the way I've heard it, that courage is facing the fear and doing it anyway. We hear the acronym too, false evidence appearing real is what fear is, and there's so many other ones there. But, I've just found it's like I get on a plane, right? I don't know the pilot, but I'm taking a risk to get on there that he's gonna get me there safely, right? There have been times where I've been in cities and I get on a bus. I don't know who this bus driver is from a can of paint, but I take the risk of getting on that bus and trusting that they will get me to my destination safely, And we can apply that to so many other things. So why not, since I know me, let me take a risk on me. Let me bet on myself. And I feel like, anyone who's listening or watching this at a later time, if no one has ever told you you are worthy and you deserve to take a risk on yourself, to bet on yourself, to do it anyway, we'll never know if something works until we try. They said if you try and fail, you're more successful than a lot of people because many people don't even try. And so I think that's always been paramount for me, and one of the things that's really encouraged me. And one thing that I often share with people who I am sharing this opportunity with is like, how do you know if, or even if you think it's not going to work, like what is it really going to hurt you? I mean, I just don't see any disadvantage to giving to betting on yourself and taking a risk for you, like I did for myself. um has just, and it has really just changed my life. So because I've done other stuff too in the past where I've taken risk and done, and it hasn't worked. Well, I'm still here, I'm still fine, but look at me now.
What look at you now and just blossoming. I love to see that. What do you love most about being able to help others and seeing them win alongside you?
that I'm not alone. There are people who may not want the very exact things that I want, but still, even on a surface level or deep level, um, that there are people that were meant to be a part of my path. Again, so that I'm learning more about me, learning about other people. Um, but yeah, I guess again, and I just said it, like just not feeling alone. Not feeling that I have to do anything by myself all the time, but like there are people that I believe have divinely come into my life. And one thing that I do like most and best about this whole business is just being able to experience people in different ways from different walks of lives and different lived experiences, um and just sort of having like that sense of community and camaraderie, just seeing how this business has changed people's lives and how they are just, I mean, like just such a blissful state all the time. So I think that's been just one of the best things to see the growth of myself, the growth in other people, that we have a good time. It is, if you're not having fun doing what it is you love or don't love, yeah, it's time to make a change. But yeah, that's all I can say is that it's just that sense of community and seeing people who really and truly live their best lives, and me no longer feeling alone to where I'm able to enjoy the fruits of my labor and all the good that life has to offer with other people who, that's what I was trying to say, who even want more from me than I want for myself. It's like really pushing me and see so much more sometimes in me than I'm able to see in myself. And then they're able to pull that out so that I can see that I can, reach my full potential and to become my best self so that I'm able to serve the nations, if you will, or every, one person at a time. So it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I agree with you completely on that. And so, because we are talking about flight attendants and being in the travel business and with the journey, what would be your final thoughts for a flight attendant that is watching this? Again, making it all the way to the end, something is captivating them and they're intrigued and they're wanting to also start their travel business. What would you say to them to help them make that decision and go ahead and get started today?
The same way that many flight attendants have had to, just in my experience, I haven't met, it's a very minimal amount, but I would bet to say at least 85% of flight attendants have had to apply more than once, twice, or three times. Maybe with, and that could be with the same airline or it might be different airlines, because everybody doesn't, accept you. So kind of in that same way, and what you were talking to before, in the same way that like you just you kept at something because it's something that you wanted to do, I feel like we're already in the travel space, and so it gives us as flight attendant, it'll give you a hand up to know, even when booking flights, well, as flight attendants we know to book flights, to give our clients more than 30 minutes to make their connections, right? Because anything can happen. And so I would just say, in the same way that we as flight attendants have endured so much, how we currently endure so much, becoming a travel business owner really gives us another side of empowerment, of feeling valued. Because oftentimes I feel like, we don't, there are a lot of airlines that are going through things internally and not having gotten raises in 2, 3, 4, and 5 years. But, here you get an opportunity to, again, have something where you're really able to empower yourself. And for me, I just feel like being a flight attendant, like, it just makes sense. Why not do something that's gonna yield you some income for when the going gets rough or when you can't be on a plane. So the same way that you get on a plane, you fly and you soar, start your travel business so you can fly and soar over here for you and your family, to change your family's financial bloodline as well as yourself.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Baron, for just sharing with us again your stories. And we'll continue to do many more of these and definitely want to think about other people that you are attached to and get to know their stories and how we can just empower more people to just take a chance on themselves in an opportunity such as this, where we have the right company, the right people, the right opportunity. You know, you can't compare to being in partnership with the oldest and largest home-based travel agency in the entire world. You know, so we're not just a fly-by-night new company trying it out in formulation phase. Like we are in business and we've been in business for a very, very long time. So we are in partnership with one of the best of the best, just like you working for one of the best airlines. And guess what? That's also our partner, right?
Yeah.
And so it's great to know that that we're here tonight to share with everyone the information, especially because I want to make sure that we're getting the inside scoop from you being a flight attendant, and you're not just a brand new flight attendant. You've been doing this 8 years, so you have a lot of experience. You know, anybody that's been in business or doing anything for over 7 years, you are a pro, right?
Yes.
An expert. So thank you for sharing with us your time and your knowledge with us today. And I appreciate you. Everyone that's watching, if you love the information, make sure you give us a huge thumbs up. Leave us some comments. If you are a flight attendant and you can relate to what everything Baron says or said earlier, leave us some comments. And if you have thoughts or questions about what we just spoke of, put in the chat as well. We would love to come back to another segment to answer things and break it down even more for any of you guys who are watching. And if you have not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on the inside. Have a great evening, good night, good afternoon, good morning. Bye, everyone.